Hi, everybody. I'm Norma Hatfield. I'm with the Kinship Families Coalition of Kentucky, and I'm here with Dr. David Weisenhorn. And we are talking about a series of classes that is called PASTA, or Parenting a Second Time Around. And we're spending a little bit of time just very briefly discussing the topic of each one of these workshops. It's not a deep dive, it's just enough to see if you're interested. And we'll talk a little bit more about how much does it cost and how do you get signed up and all of the administrative things that are there. But I wanted to tell folks that we're doing these little discussions across 8 of these classes. And today we are at class number 6, and it is called Standing Up for Grandparents' Rights. Grandparents and grandchildren's rights. It's about advocacy, negotiating systems, and connecting with community programs. So before we go any further, David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm David Weisenhorn. I'm a senior specialist for parenting and child development at the University of Kentucky. I work in the Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Department. And those of you that aren't familiar with Extension is the arm of the university that extends to all 120 counties in Extension. So there will be a building, whether you've seen it, and my guess is most of you have. There's a University of Kentucky Extension office in your county. And in that county, there are University of Kentucky representatives. And one is a Family and Consumer Science Extension agent. And they offer programming in their county for parenting and child development. In one of those programs is this PASTA, Parenting a Second Time Around, that really is geared towards kinship families and helping connect them not only to each other in your county, but also to the resources that might make life a little easier and help you throughout your process as kinship families.
Now, these classes, they're free. Mm-hmm. If I want to bring the folks that are in my support group with me, or if I wanted to sign up, all I have to do is contact the local agent at the extension office and see where or when the class is scheduled, but it would be free for myself, correct?
That is correct. It is free. Some of those may be happening right now. There are PASTA classes that are happening that are probably open for you to come and attend. If you wanted to just jump right into a group, they'd love to have you. Some may not even have one open yet, Norma. So making sure that you say, hey, I'm interested in parenting a second time around, or you could just say a PASTA group. They'll let you know when the next time they'll be meeting and how that all works.
Okay. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but it kind of varies. The class could be in the evening. It could be during the day while the kids are in school. There's just a variety of different options depending on COVID incidence rates. There might even be virtual. You just got to check with your local office to kind of see what's available.
And make sure you let them know what you want. So not just saying, hi, is there a PASTA group? And if they say, yeah, there's one, but it's during the day and that doesn't work for you, you can also just tell them, hey, I would like to know when there's a group in the evening, or if you have a specific time of day when one might meet. What they'll try to do, and the reason I'm telling you to do that is that a lot of those groups will meet based on the needs of those that are attending the group. And so those groups, they try to determine that and what works best for the participants.
Okay. Now we are talking about the 6th class, the 6th workshop. Now let's just say they hear about this one today and it happens to be, the whole series in my county is actually at about 5 or 6. That's okay. I don't have to take them sequentially, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. No matter when you join the group, the information will be information that could be necessary for you, regardless of when you join in. And the good news is that you can continue in the group as long as that group continues to run. And if there was some information that you didn't get, you can get it possibly as it comes around the second time.
Yeah, and I will tell you from everything I've heard up to this point, at some time or another, I think it would be important for all caregivers to try to get all of these classes in. They're about 2 hours long, I believe. Mm-hmm. and they're local in your county, and you get connected with a lot of different resources. And to me, that's what's so important, is not knowing somebody else that's nearby that's been through what I've been through as a caregiver, and then having those discussions within a group of other people and sharing knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And
David, oh, go ahead.
it's funny is that the groups, there really is so much that comes out of these groups that a lot of times there are a lot of deep friendships that are formed out of the group as well, just of the kinship families that are attending.
Yeah, I know that when I've participated in kinship support groups before, it takes a little bit to kind of open up and to get folks to get to know everybody. But then you find that over time, somebody will say, "Hey, I know you've got a court date. If you need me to help out with the kids, or they're baking a casserole, or they're helping, there was one support group in Bullitt County where they all got together and said, let's do a clothes exchange. When my kids outgrow their jeans, I can pass them on, and I'll share that information to the rest of the group. And it's just amazing the spirit of support with so many families, within the Commonwealth, but specifically with kinship families.
Yes, agreed. It's amazing.
So let's talk about this sixth workshop. It's called Standing Up for Grandparents and Grandchildren's Rights. Tell us a little bit about this particular class.
Yeah, the heartbeat of this is learning to be an advocate. Really, in a lot of times that's difficult to do, especially in a culture that, or a societal culture that kind of seems that parents kind of put themselves second, and maybe even third or fourth, depending on the other obligations they have in their life. And so this is really to help parents learn how to kind of stand up and advocate for your children. As a scientist, I get an opportunity to do a lot of research and read a lot of research. And there's a lot of research that points to the reason that the number one variable in children's academic success is having a parent who advocates. And so advocating for your child and really saying, hey, there are some requests that my children have that are unique to maybe some of the others, and just being able to ask for the good teacher, or to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to know who do I need to talk to that can make the decisions I'm asking to be made. And so a lot of this workshop is trying to help the kinship families walk through what it means to be an advocate. How am I going to be confident? How to be organized. A lot of what happens in this workshop is organizational papers that might say, hey, when you get this information, here's a way that you need to begin to file medical records for your children. Here's a place that when you call and set up an appointment, here's a piece of paper that has got several questions that have blanks that you just fill in those answers. And then you'll have this piece of paper when you walk into the doctor's office, or when you go to get the child out, or you go to a parent teacher conference. Here are some of the questions that you might already have. And so learning how to be organized, learning how to be persistent, continuing to not fall away when you hear the first no. A lot of times, some systems within our sad to say, some of the systems out there are designed to reject you first, just to reduce the number of calls that are coming in. And so learning to be persistent and not giving up at the first no, or the I don't know if you've reached the right person, or the pass around. And then finally, just keeping that energy high, that how to stay energetic when the systems keep saying no. How do I get up each day, and Norma, and keep pressing on for these kids? And so a lot of those issues are covered in this workshop. So a lot for sure. And maybe it takes more than one workshop depending on what the needs, again, of the participants are.
Yeah, there's a lot there that people don't realize. If you're new to the system, if you're new as a kinship caregiver in particular, that's one of the things that let's just say, I found out myself. Let's just say that you're trying to work on a service and you're not getting the best answers, and you're making multiple phone calls and you're doing multiple visits into offices and things like that, and you're still not getting anywhere. Sometimes, even if you're doing like an ombudsman complaint, they want your documentation. They want information about the phone calls and who did you talk to, and what did you give them paperwork wise, and what did they give back to you? What kind of receipts do you have? That is so important. I remember going to the doctor the first time, taking the kids, and they wanted to see the custody papers. They wanted to see the court letter. I wasn't going to nobody at the school was going to talk to me until I had that letter. And so I just think this is a really, really important segment of being a caregiver and kind of thinking through those things. And it's interesting. There are things that you don't even think about until you hear somebody else's story and somebody else's case. And then they say, oh, by the way, if you go do this, you're also going to need to have, particular documentation or paperwork, and you just don't know what you don't know.
That is so well said, Norma. And I really believe that so much of what is gathered from these groups, from these PASTA groups, it's not so much, while it is valuable what that FCS agent is offering as far as identifying the resources. The real value comes from just what you're saying. Those other kinship families that are saying, oh yeah, when I did this, when I went for custody and I was told, oh yeah, don't forget to make sure you have this written down. When you're talking to people, write their names down, write their titles down, get their phone number, get the address of where you are. All of those little nuancy things that we don't know until we know, right? We're going into this thing a bit blindfolded. And so to have other people in the room that have gone there before, have journeyed that journey a little bit prior to you, their feedback and their information is just so valuable. It makes these groups just really invaluable as far as what's learned.
Yeah, I think you mentioned once that this series of classes first came from Cornell University.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then here in Kentucky, you all picked this up and you're making it more specific to just by county services and connections within each county here in Kentucky, which I think is pretty amazing. I kind of want to briefly go over a few things about how to get into the class and how things are structured. So I believe we talked about this before. It's roughly about a 2-hour class.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not sure, when you call the extension office, you tell them that you're interested in it. If there's a class going on and it happens to be during the day and you can't do that, ask them to see if there'll be a class set up in the future for the evening, because there are different options depending on what's going on within each county and their office. I think you even said sometimes childcare can be provided as well.
That is correct. And the way sometimes that works is it could be maybe a 4-H agent might decide that they're going to run a program at the same time that the PASTA program is running, so that it reduces any obstacle of maybe interruption or the ability to speak freely. Maybe when young ears aren't in the room, and maybe there's some sensitive topics that you want to talk about. So yes, that childcare would then be provided by just having them doing something educational. It's not just babysitting, but they would be getting something themselves. And then, the parents would be then attending that PASTA group. Sometimes there's even food available.
Yeah, that always helps, especially when you've got kiddos and you're worried about they need their snacks or they need their dinner while you're in an evening class, and that just takes care of it all, so that you can kind of focus on, meeting the people that you really should meet and talking about the things that are really important and not feeling alone.
Yes.
Facilitators, the agents for this class, their training background, what are the expectations if I come into that class? Is this a therapist, counselor? Is this just a facilitator for the class?
Yes, all the facilitators are FCS agents, and so they are educated, they have degrees, but they're not licensed therapists. They will not legally, or were they willing, give a diagnosis. They're not going to prescribe medication. They're not going to give legal advice. They are simply to facilitate discussion, really just helping conversation move. They may open up with some activities. They might pose questions to the group. They're encouraged. Their role is to help encourage discussion. And so what that might mean is they may ask questions. Nothing is pointed, and no one is forced to participate. However, we talk about the value of sharing. So there is some encouragement that the participants would share, but it's not mandatory. So if you want to come and just kind of see what it's like for the first group, you're welcome to come and be a silent observer. That's no problem at all. No one's forced to discuss, but the richness of that discussion is oftentimes the value of the group.
Yeah, that was something that I wanted to ask you about as well. I don't have homework. I don't need to do any kind of pre-test or anything. Just bring myself and an open heart to kind of share, or just take in information and meet people. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That is correct. So there's no fee for the group. It's a free group. It's not mandatory that you participate per se. And there's no homework. There's nothing required. In each session, they're not going to require you to read something or to have something completed by the next time. If any homework's given, it's probably just how can we help you best? These groups are really designed, and the facilitator will know that I'm trying to identify resources within the community that are close to you that would help you live a better life. And so whatever that is, these groups do vary according to the participants, because the need then essentially is to meet the needs of those that are participating in the group. So that would be all that they ask, is come and let us know how we can best help you. And there is some structure to it. So it is a structured group. It's not just to come and just kind of figure out how to go throughout the day. There will be some structure as to this will be the topic we're going to discuss today. And there'll be some questions that may guide some of that discussion as they go. But again, no homework. It really just to be able to provide you with something that when you walk away, you feel a little bit more equipped to do your job better.
And this is not only for kinship caregivers, but it could also be for partners, if you will, such as Family Resource Center, teachers, other organizations that may also be providing support to caregivers. They can also attend as well.
They certainly can. They can attend. They could even partner if they want. If there's opportunities that there might be some friskies in town that say, hey, I have a lot of families that attend my school that could benefit from this, and it's been my heartbeat to try and help and reach out to them. But maybe you don't have a space, or maybe you are looking for someone else to help facilitate. Maybe you don't know exactly how you would lead that group. Reach out to our FCS extension agents in your county and see what you can do. They're always willing to looking also for partners, those that they can work with to really bring some good, helpful information to those families that need it.
Yeah, I think this is very much needed. I wished it had been around back in the day when I first got my kiddos, but that the fact is it's available now, and it's going to help future caregivers and their families. Now, I wanted to just kind of go back over what we're doing. We're having a discussion today about a particular workshop. This is number 6, and it's called Standing Up for Grandparents and Grandchildren's Rights. We also have previous discussions. You can check them out on our Facebook page, or you can get the information from our website at kinshipky.org. But the other 5 up to this point, which to me is really exciting. You think about it. The class is called Parenting a Second Time Around. And so the first class is called It Wasn't Supposed to Be Like This. The second class is Getting to Know You. The third class is Rebuilding a Family. The fourth class is Discipline is Not a Dirty Word, but it might look different today. And then the fifth class is legal concerns of relatives raising grandchildren. Now, or I'm sorry, raising children. And now today we're here talking about grandparents' rights and grandchildren's rights and being an advocate. And stay tuned, kind of watch us on Facebook. We're going to have 2 more discussions to cover the last 2 classes in PASTA. But again, these classes are free. You just contact your local county extension office and tell them that you've heard about this and that you're interested, and they will get you connected and get you signed up. David, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
Just that we look forward to seeing all and any of you that want to come. I think it's a great resource. And we really hope that you would partake in this and benefit from it. Is really our heart's beat.
Yeah, we're really grateful that you all stepped up to take this initiative on. It's going to help a lot of families in the future. Thank you, David. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Norma.